So welcome back to Into the Cina-Verse, and today we're going to review Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So, as many of you may know, Black Panther Wakanda Forever takes place 1 year after the events of Avengers Endgame, so in 2024. What's so interesting about this film is that Marvel took a very risky but a very courageous approach in killing off the character of T'Challa, Black Panther, due to the unfortunate death of Chadwick Boseman. The themes of tragedy, sadness, mourning, grief, and vengeance are major themes in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and this is what this review is going to be about.
However, we do find some interesting elements and part stories that we did not expect in this film. In this video, we're going to review these stories and these elements, and if this film was the perfect tribute to Chadwick Boseman.
So fair warning, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched this film, what are you doing? Go watch Black Panther Wakanda Forever and then come back and watch our review.
And let's get into it.
Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever.
Okay, so personally, I am a huge Chadwick Boseman fan. The first time I saw Chadwick Boseman, I remember him as a guest star on Castle. Have you ever watched Castle?
No.
It's a great series. He was only in for one episode.
Oh, okay.
And it was when he was still an up-and-coming actor. Okay, so he played Jackie Robinson in 42.
Robinson off.
And then he played Thurgood Marshall in Marshall. He played such iconic historical black characters. He was that type of actor, right? And he played them magnificently. What was the next step? The next step was to become an iconic black African superhero.
Which he was.
And that's what he did. He became Black Panther. People know him as Black Panther. So it made me very sad when I found out that he had passed away. But he still remains one of my all-time favorite actors. I will not, if I were to rank all of my favorite actors, I will not dare move him from my top 10.
Okay.
He will make into my top 5 because that's how much I love him as an actor. His characters meant so much to people, and he also meant a lot to people because of his courage he took to his roles.
Yeah.
So, rest in peace, Chadwick.
Rest in peace. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. The phrase Wakanda Forever means so much to the people. A great example is in Infinity War, where T'Challa shouts Wakanda Forever before the Battle of Thanos.
Okay, so practically when we were both analyzing the film, we saw that there are two purposes to this film that we will now discuss. The first one is obviously the purpose that we were introduced in the beginning of the film, which was a send-off to Chadwick Boseman and Shuri's introduction. Now, obviously, Shuri's introduction for her path into becoming Black Panther.
Yeah.
So in the beginning of the film, we get introduced how they kill off T'Challa, and it's this mystery illness. And I will talk more about it later on in the video, but I think there is more to it, to this mystery illness, because it was kind of thrown at us. But because of this scene, we get T'Challa's send-off, in brackets Chadwick Boseman's send-off, but we get introduced into Shuri.
Yeah.
From the beginning of the film, we get introduced into her belief system. She's not, a heavy believer into the Wakandan culture, especially the spirituality aspect of it all. She believes a lot in her technology. The thing she's mostly brilliant at, which is technology, she's a genius. She could not use it to save her brother. And this loss, this inability to save her brother, paved her way throughout the entire film. It paved her way from grief to vengeance.
And the second purpose of this film, or not really that much of a purpose, but we can see this very much is the comparison between T'Challa and Shuri. The first similarity I want to mention is that how they became Black Panther and the reason why. T'Challa lost his father, and because they lost the king, someone had to replace to become Black Panther. I see the intention of T'Challa wasn't to become king, but to protect his people, the Wakandans. And then Shuri was kind of the same. She lost her brother and her mother, and actually after her mother's death, it pushed her more to become Black Panther, because who is going to protect Wakanda? And I think the biggest similarity or the biggest notice of value is her lack of faith in the ancestors. T'Challa did have that doubt of the ancestor and the culture and the traditions. However, with Shuri, this lack of faith came mostly from the ancestors, because after being, obviously Shuri being the genius of Wakanda with all the technology, why didn't they help her? And this lack of faith we see in both T'Challa and Shuri, especially even how they restore their faith. At the end, Shuri restored her faith after getting into the ancestral plane and having this realization after when she was going out for vengeance.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to what I think we share the opinion of the majority. What are the most important events throughout the film? And the first one is obviously, it's introduced to us in literally the first scene of the film. It's T'Challa's death. Now, in my opinion, I do feel that it was just thrown at us. Kind of, that's my opinion. It was the first scene of the film. And I do understand, or I try to understand it, because I'm not a professional director, right? But I can imagine how difficult it was again for Ryan Coogler and his team to just rewrite everything. And I think that in a way they wanted to introduce his death quickly, and not to sound disrespectful, but to get it out of the way. So, and then they can move on into the rest of the story, into the rest of the film.
Yeah.
And I think they did it well. As I said, yeah, it's like they just threw it at us. But at the same time, I don't think they had a choice.
I agree with you, Luca. I think they threw it they threw it there and tried to get, let's get it out of the way. I did feel like the mystery illness, I was a bit confused, like I didn't know what it is. How did this happen? Maybe I preferred to give an explanation about it. I'm hoping that they will give in the future films about this explanation, but I did like how they did the send-off. It was respectful. Yes, the only thing that I wish they did a bit better, maybe explain the mystery illness. To the next part, we get introduced to Namor. His introduction was, I think, a sort of setting for the film. I think it was the motive, everything sort of started at this scene, because while Shuri and her mother was teaching her about this ritual that she does to forget about her brother, and he comes in, the first thing he does is accuse about the vibranium. Why did Wakanda reveal her secrets? Basically vibranium, and he did not like that. And then he goes into threatening the queen that she needs to find the scientists, because earlier in the film we see that the United Nations were trying to mine vibranium in another place, and this was something huge for the queen. It's like vibranium only lives in Wakanda, that's where the only place, but this revelation that vibranium is somewhere else, I think is something huge for the Wakandans.
Personally, I've been waiting for Namor for ages.
Yeah.
Right? I saw him in cartoons when I was a kid.
By the great Poseidon himself. A swim is just what I need to revive my strength.
I was always a big fan. Said, okay, when is Namor coming into the MCU? We finally got Namor in the MCU. I really like him because he's a typical anti-hero. He does whatever he wants. He does it for himself, and, in the case for Namor, he does it for his people.
Yeah. The thing where you say he does what he wants. For example, when he tells Shuri, like, I am going to do anything, he wanted to wage war over the world just to save his people, to protect his people. And Shuri was like, no. You have these elements of development for Shuri, especially even similar to T'Challa, how they wanted, how they wanted to deal with things peacefully.
I didn't know where Namor's character was going. Like, you could see him, you could easily see him becoming a villain, but you could also see him easily becoming a hero. There were two sides to his character throughout the film. That's why he's a perfect anti-hero, because he's actually on both sides of
the coin.
Exactly. And so, like, on one side, you can see, he can be quite reasonable when he's talking to Shuri.
Yeah,
at times, he was quite reasonable. You know that he's protective of his people. And at times, you could see him, he was kind.
Yeah.
Again, especially with his people. But he was kind. But then, when he's challenged, you see he can be dangerous, he can be brutal, he can be merciless. Throughout the scenes that Namor and Shuri were together, especially when they were talking in his homeland, I don't know about you, but I felt that there was a sort of connection between Shuri and Namor, and I felt quite ironic, but at the same time, it's Marvel. They do things on purpose.
Yeah.
Namor, he says it in the film. His name means a person who knows no love.
Yeah.
Right? And he meets Shuri. Right?
Person who loves a lot.
Who loves a lot, loves her mother, is recently grieving because she lost her brother. I thought that all of this was going to change until they started to talk about war. His view on Shuri changed because all he knows is war. All he knows is violence. So what did he want to do? Yeah. So in my opinion, we see that Namor really started to show his true feelings for Shuri when he asked her if she wanted to take over the surface world with him. Because for him, that's love. He's sharing war, the thing I think he loves the most. He loves violence, he loves fighting, because he knows no love. But then why is he sharing it with someone else?
And I think at some cases, I also pity him a bit, because when he was born and he tried to bury his mother back on land where his mother lived, it was enslaved. And he got so angry that we don't see it, but I am assuming that that's what happened, that he killed these people. And I think from there, that's where it really started, this war, this vengeance on the world, because they always enslave people. And he says it when he's talking to Shuri, he says that these people enslave people like us. And you sort of understand why he's doing it.
So the next major event is Queen Ramonda's death. Now, this is in itself a major driving force for Shuri throughout the film. And this is where we can see a connection, a similarity between Shuri and T'Challa when they were both becoming Black Panther. T'Challa grieved the death of his father and then went on to become Black Panther and used, even for a moment, the mantle of Black Panther for vengeance. At that moment, that's what the mantle of Black Panther meant for Shuri. At that moment in time, it's vengeance. She had the ability to avenge her mother, But then all of that changed at the end. That's where the whole arc came full circle. The fact of Namor killing Queen Ramonda is also a symbol in itself with relation to Namor's relationship to Shuri. Namor killing Queen Ramonda made Shuri a person who knows no love because all of her close family members are dead.
Yeah.
So
It's very symbolic.
it's very symbolic. Namor's doing to others what he knows best. It's not feeling love at all.
Yeah. I think if they spent a bit more time on that scene, in that scene to process what just happened, I think we would have feel more about it then. Because then even in the funeral, Baku comes to Shuri and it's like, listen, she is dead, yes, but what can you do now? What are you going to do avenging your mother? Vengeance. If he didn't agree with the vengeance, you could see Shuri that she wanted to vengeance. He wanted him dead, but he does say that it is something that your mother wouldn't want this. One unexpected event, I would say, it's not that she went into the ancestral plane, because she became Black Panther, she had the herb and she went into the ancestral plane. But something that I don't think anyone would expect is that she finds Killmonger. She didn't meet her mother, she didn't meet her brother or her father. And this is something that you wouldn't expect, I think, is that why Killmonger? Why was Killmonger there? And in a way, she didn't know, because obviously she was fighting her fate, her lack of faith of the existence of the ancestral plane. Even Killmonger does say, it's like, why did you take the herb? What if you didn't believe in the ancestral plane? I think her motive was not that little possibility that she might see her mother again. The major part of this event, this scene, is at the end where Killmonger says, do what is necessary, don't do what T'Challa and his father did, being royal. How his father was like, listen, I am royalty. Even T'Challa, he mentions T'Challa, he didn't do what was necessary for Wakanda. He wanted to play a kind of leader or a king. And he said, be more like me, do what is necessary. This was the ultimate spark for Shuri, for her vengeance for Namor. And to actually go ahead and kill him. This is the biggest drive for Shuri in this film, is that this is the last spark. And it was unexpected, and I do agree that it was the most important part in this film for Shuri and her development.
I wouldn't say throughout the entire MCU, but even if we're going to limit it only to the Black Panther films, who is this sort of symbol of vengeance within the Black Panther films?
Yeah.
It's Killmonger.
Yeah.
The theme of vengeance was huge in the first Black Panther film. And even within, Black Panther's first appearance in Civil War, vengeance was always a present theme. And I wasn't surprised that they brought it back and passed it on to Shuri. What was obviously going through people's minds, who is going to be in the ancestral plane?
That was the biggest question.
And that's why Killmonger was such a twist. I really thought that they were going to get back T'Challa and the scene.
I wouldn't know how they would do that.
No, this is the thing.
But
they wouldn't do him, computer generated. So we wouldn't see a computer generated Chadwick Boseman / T'Challa. Okay. So in the first Black Panther, when T'Challa goes in the ancestral plane, he sees all of his ancestors as panthers. And then we see his father coming as a panther and transforming into a man. I thought they would do it like that, but obviously, leave him in panther form. But they would have a great scene where they would be in a way communicating. We wouldn't know what they were saying, but Shuri would know.
And I think even if it was without communicating,
exactly, even
just a look, and maybe she would start to cry, you would understand that's her brother.
So, Shuri becoming Black Panther, I think this was perfect. And I will just say, first off, it's comic book accurate.
Yeah.
The more comic book accurate it is, I'm good. I love sticking to the source material. I wanted Killmonger as Black Panther. I love redemption arcs. Okay? I'll just mention it a little bit. Zuko from Avatar The Last Airbender. I love that.
Yes.
Your uncle has gotten to you, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
Second, we have a female black superhero. How many black female superheroes can you name?
I don't think any.
She's huge, and that I love that. You know, she's inspiring people, especially, you know, girls. She's inspiring little girls that, you know, women, black women can be superheroes too. And that's a message in itself, an important message to be sent.
Yeah.
And this is why I love Marvel, because, you know, they're not scared to send those messages. Because of the characters they have, they can.
Yeah.
Right? And
exactly.
they're ready to take the risks to send those messages.
Yeah.
Right? Her transition into becoming a Black Panther, it wasn't the same as T'Challa, obviously. It felt a little bit...
like it lacked something. Like,
it felt a little bit empty, but I really think it was done on purpose. I do really think it was done on purpose, because we're supposed to feel that emptiness. We're supposed to feel... No, T'Challa's Black Panther. We're supposed to feel that.
Yeah.
As in, obviously, we're not against Shuri being Black Panther. But like in our minds, T'Challa's Black Panther. Even when Shuri is fighting Namor, everything has happened, you know, and she's Black Panther. It didn't register in my mind Shuri is Black Panther. But when did it register? I think it's perfect emotional directing.
You know, it's like, imagine you're trying to remake a Black Panther and it's not the same person. And it's like, you know, at first you feel like, you know, he was great. Why do you have to change actors and so on? But that's how I felt, you know, that feeling. But then it's sort of, for me, I knew she was Black Panther when she was going to kill Namor, but she didn't. That realization of being consumed by vengeance and not wanting to be like Namor, that vengefulness, for me, that's where she turned into Black Panther. And now we come to the last event, something that I think, for me, is one of the best post-credit scenes that we ever had in Marvel. I don't know about you, Luca, but I really loved this post-credit scene.
I'll just say it was the best for Phase 4.
Yes.
Phase 4 is best for sure.
Yeah.
So when we get introduced into, well, this mysterious boy in the beginning in the post-credit scene, like, when I saw him, I was like, okay.
Who did you think he was?
I knew he would be T'Challa's son.
Yeah.
I probably knew that, okay, what's your name? T'Challa. It wasn't cheesy. It was perfect.
No, I didn't find this cheesy.
If at that moment, even if certain people, okay, when you see him, he's his son, his name is T'Challa. It was perfect. Now, I don't know if we're ever going to get an adult version of this T'Challa, or if he will ever become Black Panther.
I'm hoping to.
Even me. But like that, I think it was a very sweet way to pay honor to Chadwick Boseman.
But I think one thing that I would mention about is the legacy. Is when I mentioned Wakanda Forever being in the presence of the people, the biggest presence of T'Challa, and I believe Chadwick Boseman as well, will keep on going, but mostly will keep on going in his son. And this is why we came back full circle. And Wakanda Forever, I believe this phrase Wakanda Forever in the scene has the biggest part in all the film, is that his son continues his legacy. So as you can, I think after watching the film, there was certain things that maybe people didn't like, but there was a purpose for it. And I think the director did certain things on purpose. And I feel like when I felt afterwards, I felt that there was something missing. And I think this absence, this emptiness was a purpose, was done purposely by the director.
So practically, you know, it's the feeling of sadness, and the feeling of sadness together with the feeling of absence, these emotions carry the film.
Yeah.
And it was the emotional directing by Ryan Coogler that made this, you know, possible.
Yeah.
It's not easy to make a large audience
Yeah.
in cinemas around the world feel the same emotion. When it's like when Shuri is experiencing closure, you feel it as well.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. It's like you're experiencing it with them.
When Shuri transforms into Black Panther, it's like it lacks something. When throughout the film, the battle, the reasoning, the fate, everything that Shuri goes through, you say, but there is something missing here. And this is Chadwick Boseman / T'Challa gone. And even though maybe afterwards, like, you don't like that in a film, you know, it's like when you feel something missing, you don't like it. But here, it's sort of psychological, it's so sort of philosophical and symbolic that this lack is Chadwick Boseman gone. To conclude and to answer, did this film was a perfect tribute to Chadwick Boseman? Was it for you, Luca?
I think it was. They did their best, and their best was enough. It was a perfect film. It was the best tribute that they could do. You know, I can't even imagine the situation that they were in, you know, from a professional side.
Yeah.
You know, Ryan Coogler again and the writers, they had to change everything.
A lot.
But they lost one of their own. They had to work without him. And they had to put his real life death in the story, and they had to work with that.
A lot of people is like, okay, it's going to be epic, we're going to get a new Black Panther and all that. It's like, don't expect any of that. This is not an epic film. Don't think that something huge is going to go through.
It's not. It's actiony, yes.
Yeah,
it's entertaining, yes, but it's sad.
I think that's the main point of this film.
It's emotional.
I think the most important is think about that this isn't something to carry on, you know, to expand on the MCU or to carry a story, a specific story. This is just to send a tribute to Chadwick Boseman. The purpose of what the director wanted in this film, I think it was reached.
Final ratings.
I don't think it's a 10 out of 10.
No.
I would give it an 8.5 to a 9.
I'll give it an 8.
Okay.
Possibly an 8.5.
An 8.5.
But I'll stick to an 8. Out of all the Phase 4 films, it's my second highest.
Yeah, what's the first?
Like Spider-Man.
No, okay.
Obviously.
I think that's the end of this video. We gave our ratings. I think we gave good points about this film. Tell us what you think, if you have watched it, if you haven't and you watched and you're here. It's like,
thanks for the view.
Thanks
go
watch the film. Like, what are you doing here?
And then come back here and give us another view. So thank you from here into the Cina-Verse. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Wakanda Forever.